Hello and welcome to the Poe Market Writer channel. I am Poe. On this channel, we analyze Bitcoin and Ethereum together every day, and then we move on to the smaller cap altcoins and the market's top most notable picks. If you prefer simple, transparent, no hype analyses, please be sure to like the video. And for Rosen's daily market coverage, don't forget to subscribe. Let's get into today's analysis. We'll begin with the yearly time frame, since the end of the year is approaching, and let's see how Bitcoin's yearly picture looks. Clearly, it is evident that Bitcoin's yearly conditions are bullish here. We have a base where a higher low has formed and a ceiling where a higher high has formed. The chart tells us that a higher high above the previous high and a higher low above the previous low mean our market trend is bullish. And if this happened higher up, the trend would be bearish. We are not looking at yearly data. In the monthly time frame, we see a counter move around roughly 12 and 18, and that's basically it. Now we move down to lower time frames and outline our resistance and support zones. We derive a resistance area as well as a higher high and a higher low, and the trend remains bullish. When the market turns bearish, we would see a lower low form within the previous range. Can you tell us whether the market trend has turned bearish? Fix these weekly lines. Our resistance would be around 119,697, and that would also be the breakout target. Asset 140. Well, at this moment, you may be asking yourself what these things are. They are nothing more than a classic fake-out breakout scenario, meaning there was a false break that nevertheless failed to pierce through our resistance level. As you can see, within that single ranging box on the 7-day frame you're observing, the market is moving in a way that challenges our resistance. In other words, it has struck the top edge of the box many times and has not managed to push beyond it. Then, following a so-called fake breakout, it was rejected, and, together with a shadow, it slid down toward the bottom edge of our box. As you can clearly see, within our tightly constrained frame for this week, there exists a region, in fact a short interval, in which the situation can be described as lasting long enough to approach roughly the 92 mark. We then go on to perform a time fill operation in order to correct the errors we have introduced, and we notice a similar brief section around the 88 mark. We proceed to perform another time fill step with the aim of smoothing out and correcting our mistakes. This is part of our ongoing refinement of timing. In this daily method, as we can see, we have placed inside a range box several times toward the top of the box and several times toward the bottom of our range box. In fact, we have done so. This shows us that breaking the box ceiling can give us a long position, and breaking the box floor can give us a short position. With respect to our short position, we effectively rejected the box's upper boundary and descended to reach the bottom boundary of the very same box. At this juncture,
If the price pushes and breaks through this particular side of the box in a downward direction, it can provide us with a usable short position. Nevertheless, when considering the box in relation to the possibility of a long position, we actually must step down to a lower time frame in order to observe the market action there more clearly on that smaller time scale. As you can clearly see, right now within the lower time frame, we do have a resistance area at these levels. That the breakout of this resistance area can give us a long position. After an upward trend, a single powerful candlestick suddenly pushed its price down to the bottom of the box. If the market were going to be bearish and people were more interested in selling Bitcoin, then for this market it should have gone down, but that did not happen. And with another powerful candlestick, in fact, a breakout occurred and it pushed it to the box's short-term range. As you can see here, price compression has formed. This compression tells us that people are more inclined to buy. Therefore, breaking this area, namely 818,502, could be in line with the long position I hold. Risk in this zone for opening a position is high, but this can help you. This helps you see that our actual comparison area, the main zone, which is 93, 400, 800, 300, makes our job easier. Here we open our long position. With this position, let's stay around the 93 area here. If a breakout happens and the candle holds and the volume increases, we can add volume to this position. From here, what should we do for the position? We should watch for the market to come. In fact, this 88 rejection should occur here, producing a lower low than the previous low and a lower high than the previous high, and the market trend that turned bearish. Breaking this area can put us into the position. See this from Bitcoin analysis. Let's move to Ethereum. You can view that cliff on Ethereum here. This, in effect, becomes a page. Where will Ethereum and our support region ultimately stand or end up when viewed within the wider context of market trends and technological change? If you think about it carefully, the rough projection places it around approximately the year 2032. This monthly activation file provides no particularly useful task. We simply do not have time to watch any film at all. Let us carefully smooth out the cut to keep it clean. Our resistive layer measures 4,789 and our supportive layer measures 2,077. Now something happened. An electron in that region placed a single charge. Then, on two further occasions, this colored box has, in effect, breached its own protective support layer, but has not stabilized it, and has moved back into the colored box. He touched the box, but buyer's demand wasn't very strong, and again the frame collapsed and still hasn't reached the box. So what he's telling me is that we have another similar thing inside this one, about 2790, and one time frame for this panther. This second similar thing will become our daily routine. Here, as you can see, we have a resistance level. The price after this pullback has bounced off it and interacted with it, making this resistance level very important for us, because breaking this resistance can give us a long position. If this resistance is broken, we could have a long position up to the 4780 level. In other words, this long position of ours would form if, given the overall market trend and the reasons behind the move upward, we take long positions and stay with you, while the short positions we take, we manage risk and exit quickly. So what happened? Whether you took a long position in Ethereum or Bitcoin, it's good to stay with the long position. And if price comes up and tests it again with its own hurdles, and you have a position, you'll be in a better spot to ride the breakout with us. Now for Ethereum longs on the daily time frame, a breakout above 3334 would give you a long position. But if the time frame remains this way, we should aim for a clean breakout above 3334. Even this level could drop further, meaning our resistance area could be 3251, while our daily resistance area could be 3251 as well. For a short-term position, there is a resistance zone here. For example, within the limited range, 2095 is present. A break of this zone would mean that if a strong candle forms here, it would in fact break the resistance zone 2095, and we would also see an increase in volume. A break of this resistance zone could give us a long position. For the first target around 3215, which would be the daily resistance for our time frame, that means we are long until this resistance holds. The idea was that with the candle, the volume could add to the position. For our position, as the market moves forward, the resistance holding would support our long stance until that resistance keeps it. The analysis suggested this. With the candle, the volume could amplify the position. For the long position to progress with the market, we are currently dealing with a resistance area, and what we should do about the short position is this. We effectively have a floor, and we should place a protective stop so that the market comes down to a floor lower than its previous low, and then another move lower than the previous one, and we can catch that early by breaking this floor. Also, please review this as well, and for breaking the floor with the same approach, please also run a quick check on volatility, but as you can clearly observe, the general, long-term trend for Kotal remains decidedly profitable. Kotal operates squarely within the market, that is to say, inside Ethereum and Bitcoin networks. But, as you can see, the difficulty here is that the portal pit bar does not fit and lies broken against the surface, which was created from it and rejected, and we have a supporting brace in place within the range to maintain stability for balance. The entire protective region surrounding Potamde that is located within Zone 2. On May 28, for the short position, this range can provide us with a short-term adjustment. In fact, the total has broken below the lower level and is stabilizing there. The May 28 level can give us this adjustment, enabling us to enter an early short position. Moreover, due to the rise in open interest, we can base an early short position. We have a final resistance level on the total index, and it's in a restricted 3 and 15-day moving average setup. What does that tell us? It indicates that it has broken above the 3 and 15-day moving averages to the upside, and remaining above them could indicate that market volume will increase, allowing us to take an early long position on Bitcoin and Ethereum. Bitcoin dominance I'm not going to analyze for you right now because the measure related to Naya Hamati and Makamti itself is quite old.
and you can obtain exposure to Bitcoin and Ethereum sooner on your own than waiting for dominance to hand you exposure. What does Tether dominance say to us? After encountering a resistance, this resistance is actually something that Tether could use to provide the confirmation that we can base a short position on Bitcoin and Ethereum. In fact, money is flowing out of the market and into Tether. For the long position, there is a support level for Tether around 5.850. For this long position, that support has also been breached. This area can give us the indication that money is leaving Tether and turning into a coin. Now that coin could be Bitcoin, Ethereum, or any other coin. SADA, let's take a glance to see if this activity yields a high total. Total 2 and Total 3 are almost like that total story. I mean, I think you could fairly easily extract even earlier adjustments from Comina itself, rather than from Total or Domain. At the end of the comments, please share my opinions, recommendations, and perspectives with me, even in the comments. And don't forget that capital management, risk management, and journal writing are 3 key principles for staying in the market.